Welcome back everybody. So in this short video I'm going to show you how we can simply design a C++ class. Alright, so for class design as well you can actually use UMPIRE technique. So let's see how we can do it. Okay. Of course you'll have to read the prompt very carefully word by word, and you have to identify the subjects, verbs, predicates, and then propositions. You have to identify what are the inputs, output being asked, so expectations, and then if there is any constraint or restrictions, you need to identify them as well. Okay, so look for words like given, that's identify the input, and return, output, that identify the output. And then sometimes the problem specify a domain, so that's actually a constraint or restriction, or a range like a number in between this. So those are restrictions. It's good to identify them as well. Okay, so identify the class or the domain. So the next thing is to identify the class or the domain. So use data belongingness or associations to a group, and then that group probably be a class. And, for example, if student has a name and an ID, that identify that student has several sub data types, so that's to indicate a class. Okay, so that way you can identify a class. So has a relationship or contains or similar meaning, identify a grouping name or grouping subject, in this case student. Alright, continue on UMPIRE. So you can confirm the class if there's a community involved. In this case students, there are a lot of students and we want to represent them. So that now we can actually confirm, okay, so there's a need of representation to represent the students, so we need a class. And could be just not just a community, it could be a set of things as well. Okay, like for example vehicles or cars. Okay, now the next step is to identify the state of your class. Okay, so again class has things, so the data basically now has a relation to the class, so you can identify them in like has or contains or similar meaning words. So those are the vocabulary that you look for. Okay, so in our student example, student has a name or an ID. Okay, and then those are unique to a student, so we call them instance data. So if the student has the college name as well, and then if we are talking about college students in entire college, then basically it's common to all the students in the college. So that's basically a static data. Okay, alright, so then next step is you need to identify access, getters, setters, and then basically with the access level, it's public or private or protected. Okay, so identify the access level, and then identify whether you need or you should provide getters or setters. Okay. Lastly, identify other methods. Okay, so this is probably a particular problem that you solve within a class. For example, well, we need to enroll a student need to enroll to a course, so you can actually implement that as a method. Okay, and then for that you need to look for the actions and then behaviors. Okay, in the problem statement or problem prompt.